Hi everybody, Alex here from Expert Forex, and in this video we're going to be looking at how we took our best Forex trading robot and improved it even better. And our premium club members will be able to test this improvement over the next week. And I am of course talking about the Profit Retriever robot. And on your screen you can see the Profit Retriever. It can be traded using as little as $100 in a cent account, and it makes profits no matter which way the price moves, and you'll see that illustrated in this particular video. Now, one of the challenges that we've had with the Profit Retriever is that occasionally it can get stuck in the profit retrieving process, and it can take quite a long time to work its way out of that process. And here's an example on your screen where a sell was entered into very early, and the way the Profit Retriever works, it continues trading in the direction of the initial trade, and it kept on opening sell transaction as it was going on. And this orange line is the line where the price has to come back to for all these open trades to be positive. So as you can see, it's built up quite a big difference for it to come back to, and it might take weeks for the price to move back to this particular line. So that is the challenge that we've had with the Profit Retriever. It produces fantastic results overall, but it can get, certain accounts can get stuck for a long period. So the challenge that we've had is how can we get this line to become closer and closer to the actual price action that is happening right now. So what we did is we created an alternative strategy, and I'll go into that strategy in a while. Now I'm going to show you the same chart using the new strategy, and it is going to be confusing. I can guarantee it is exactly the same chart that's happened, but because it is cashing in so much faster, it is in fact not creating this line that's following very often. So let's have a look at the change strategy, and then I'm going to actually show you the change strategy trading on a chart. So don't get a fright, but this is in fact the same chart, and all these blue items on this chart are in fact cash-ins. In other words, where the open trades have been cashed in positively, and that chart started over here somewhere, and you can see it's just a completely different situation. There are no periods of these long open trades. Here's a period of long open trades, sell, and then it came back and cashed in positively over there, and so on and so on. So at the moment I think there are 3 open sells, but it is nothing compared to the previous chart where it required the price to make a retracement of a couple of hundreds of pips. Now we're looking at retracements of less than 100 pips with this new method. And again, I must apologize, this is the best illustration that I could get because of the vast difference between the two situations. So just to flip back to the previous one, what we've moved from is a situation where we have about 8 or so open trades, and it requires a retracement of most probably over 100 pips to resolve this particular situation. We have now moved from there to a situation where the retracement required is actually incredibly small. On the previous chart, that line was most probably over here somewhere, and now we only need a retracement that is over there somewhere. But let's have a look at what changes have been made. Now, I must stress these changes are in beta format. So in other words, it currently is in beta, in other words, testing format, and it is not a formal upgrade to the Profit Retriever yet. The premium members are going to have the advantage of testing this and making sure that they are happy with it, and after a week or so, this might turn into a formal upgrade on the Profit Retriever. In the past, what we had the phase-based strategy. So the phase-based strategy says that if your transactions start going negative, you change your lot sizing according to a formula, and you do it. You can either do it in one phase or you can do it in two phases, and you can either increase the lot sizing or decrease the lot sizing up to a certain point, and then increase or decrease the lot sizing up to a certain point. And those strategies have worked pretty well, but they have resulted in these situations where the transactions get caught in long drawdowns. So now, instead of just having a phase-based approach, we now have an alternating approach which you can choose. So you can nominate the alternating approach. Once you nominate the alternating approach, these settings will not apply anymore, and you can go straight into the alternating approach settings. So how do these settings work? So basically there are two settings that the robot asks you to make, and that is, let's say you're starting with one lot. Your initial transaction is one lot. The next negative transaction, in other words, if the prices are moving against you, how much do you want to increase that lot size by? Now, here we have, for instance, 150%. So, in other words, the next transaction will be opened at 1.5 lots. Now, this is just an illustration. You could even have the 60% up there. So, in other words, you could decrease your lots by, let's say, 60% or whatever number you have in mind. The point is, whatever number you use here is what it will use for the first change. Now, the second transaction, in other words, the third transaction in the run of transactions going in the wrong direction, what it will do is it will adjust the lot sizing by 60% in this case, and again it's an illustration, 60% of what the total was. So in other words, if we started with one lot, it went up to 1.5 lots, then it will go to 60% of 1.5 lots, and that's, I think, is 90. That would be 0.9 lots. So now it's done two adjustments, but let's say the price continues against the trend, it will just continuously use this loop. So the next transaction will be done at 150%, and the next transaction after that 60%, and the next transaction after that 50%, and that is why we call it the alternating approach. And you can do both sides. You can start with a small percentage and then a large percentage, or as it's shown here, a large percentage and a small percentage, and that in fact moves that line that you saw, that orange line you saw previously, it moves it so much closer to the price action. So the idea behind this is that you don't need a retracement of 100 pips in future. Your recovery line will be so much closer to the existing price action. But once we see this trading happening, it will make a lot more sense. So let's go and have a look at this trading. Okay, and I've just paused the trading. It's just started at that particular point there. It opened a buy transaction. There is the famous red line that we're talking about. So the red line is always the target, the profitable target. With the existing settings, if a target is hit, it will be more or less $200. If it goes into a negative loop and hits the red line, it will generate a target of $50. So if you get it right, you're going to get $200. If you get it wrong, over time you're going to make $50, and that's what we mean by never making a loss. You're always going to be making money in this particular process. So that's what happened. The buy was entered into, it was cashed in positively at 191, and there is a sell that is entered into. Now it's telling us, this red line is saying the price needs to come down to here so that it will generate a profit of about $200. And I've stopped the trading, but let's start it again. So let's go, and what we'll do is we'll make it a bit smaller. Okay, so it's heading for our target line. Can even make it more. And there we go. So it hit the target line, and I'm going to stop it again, and generated another $190. And that, in fact, is a sell transaction that's generated. And there is the target for this sell transaction. So it hasn't hit a complicated phase yet, and there, oops. Now, why I didn't cash in there is because of spreads. Sometimes it looks on the screen as if it's touched the target, but in fact the spread has prevented that one from cashing in. This is, by the way, the 1 minute chart, so this is why you'll see the market, oops, goes to sleep at some stage. So there was a big move there. It actually cashed. There was a bit of slippage there. $270 was made. And a new sell was generated. So immediately it says, here's your target, here's the new sell, and I've made so much money on the old one. So let's just carry on and let it run. So that's basically how it works. And the whole idea of these new settings is that this red line will not be far away from the price action as in the alternatives strategy. So here's what I want to show you is we now have two open cells. There's a cell open and there's a cell. Now you may have noticed the red line jumped from over here somewhere to between the two. Look at that, it's sort of between. So what it's saying is it doesn't need to make a massive retracement to get out of this loss that it's running at the moment. So let's just continue running it, and if it hits that, oh, there we are. Okay, so it's now hit that loss situation, and as you can see, the profit that it made was $65. So as I mentioned earlier, roughly $50 if you have a loss-making situation that gets recovered. If your transaction hits the target initially, you make $200. So and that's just this illustration. That is these settings. It's not it doesn't happen that way all the time, but it's to illustrate to you how the system works. So here we go. Okay, so now we have two cells open again, 1, 2, and the line has jumped up. So let's keep on watching it. It might open a third one. Let's see. No, it hasn't opened a third one yet. So it says if you hit that red line, you will get out with about a $50 profit. There we are. Okay. Again, there was a bit of slippage there, because of harshness. Now here's an example, and this is where we need to watch this, is that now we've had a situation where we've opened buys in a sell phase, but the red line is following much closer than it would have before. So the trick here is to get this red line nice and cozy to the current price action. So let's keep it going. There's another buy, and can you see the red line just following it down, and it's not scared if it goes even further because it just follows it down. So there we are. Okay, there we are. So now all of those bad trades, and this could have happened in the space of a few hours, all these bad trades have now been resolved positively. $72 profit. So it now has a buy up there, but it has already, things happen quite quickly. You might want to rewind the video to see it, and it's already opened a second buy. So it's saying, okay, that buy didn't work, so I'm opening another buy, and here is the break-even line. So again, you can see the red line is not too far from the price action, and okay, so these things unfortunately have only a very fast setting and a very slow one, so I can't get it slower than that. So that buy there was resolved, and then entered another buy, went in there and made a nice profit there, and closed at roughly $200 there. And we now have a transaction where it says I'm in a buy, here is the target. So that red line is what it's all about. And let's just go on a little bit more. Okay, so it hit the target to just over $200. So that's essentially the change in settings that have been facilitated, where you can now create settings that follow the price action a lot closer and do not result in excessive number of open trades. Now, I'm pleased this example was created because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There were 7 negative trades here at one time, and they were then resolved positively. All right, so what we'll do is let's just run for a few more transactions. I'm not going to explain every single one, but you can see that when there are 2 negative transactions, it closes at around 50 pips. If it gets it right, it closes at around 200 pips. And on it goes, and there we go. There's a 200, there's a 200, there's a 200. And let's see if it hits another 200. So when you go through a good phase, the cashing of 200 is quite pleasant. Here it's created another sell, didn't quite work out. There it created the second sell, and now it's saying, okay, here's your break-even line. So let's just go. Okay, there we are, and this one actually made $90. That's a fantastic result, considering that we got the direction wrong, mainly. And that's what the profit retriever does. So as you can see, we've made changes to the settings which allow the profit retriever to have a break-even or a small profit line much closer to the price action than it had before. That in the long run will result in smaller drawdowns, and as you can see, larger profits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just let it run. You can have a look at the price action. There are 2 transactions open at the moment. If it hits a red line, it'll cash in at about 50 and create another. So it's created that sell, second sell, third sell, fourth sell, fifth sell, and the red line has followed very rapidly to make up for the incorrect direction. And there we are. There's a 6 sell. Oops, it just missed the case. There we are. So when it goes in the wrong direction, it will keep on taking transactions, but that red line will be following those transactions a lot closer. Of course, you can use those previous strategies. It's a case of balancing risk and reward. So all of those transactions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 again, were closed at a nice positive rate. Entered a sell again and entered a second sell. There's the break even. Let's just run through it. You can watch these things for a long time, especially if you haven't seen this type of thing in action. You can see it's either making $200 or it is making a $50 profit. Again, I must remind you, this is a 1-minute chart, and that is why the market does sleep, goes sideways quite a lot on a 1-minute chart. Nice full cash in happened there, and there's another full cash in that happened there, and so on. So where we go from here is that the premium members will be given an opportunity to test this new approach for the next week or so. If they find it acceptable and happy with it, then we will build this into an upgrade on the profit retriever, and clearly the linked account service will benefit from the changes that are being made here. So again, here we in this loop where we have about we have 8 transactions here. If it touches that red line, it will actually close all of those 8 transactions at a profitable level. So it's open. Okay, did you see the red line kept on coming down? And as the red line comes down, it actually comes to resistance and support areas that help with the recovery process. Look how close it was to recovering there. It recovered everything. And that drawdown period took a while, but then it made up it very quickly. There's a 200, there's a 200 there. And we have built up another a couple of open trades where the same process will just repeat itself over and over again. Okay, so let's have a look at what you can do if you're a premium member. You can go and test this new change, or you can wait for the upgrade to come out. Okay, and here we are on the paid premium forum, and the paid premium forum has about 15 or 16 benefits. And if I go down the benefits, here are all the benefits. You can buy the robots cheaply and all kinds of other things. There's some premium freely downloadable indicators and things like that. But here is the ability to beta test new indicators and robots. So we give the premium members an advantage of seeing these robots before the time, and also requesting changes to any upgrades that will be happening. And here we have the profit retriever alternating strategy. So we click on that, and here we see that you can go in here and read the what the alternating strategy is in a lot more detail, a description of the strategy. You can then go and download the MT4 version and the MT5 version to test it, and there's also a discussion forum where you can then ask as many questions as you like and discuss your findings about this particular trading. So clickable links to the forum, and also clickable links to the profit retriever, and also the linked account service will be in the description of the video as well as in the first commentary of the video. Clearly the linked account service is going to benefit greatly from this particular change that has just occurred here, and it will lower the time taken to recover from drawdown. So from me, Alex Deploy, cheerio.